start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number. Analysis. Your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe that you are, either consciously or non-consciously. Research has shown that once a person believes in a particular aspect of their identity, they are more likely to act according to that belief. For example, people who identified as being a voter were more likely to vote than those who simply claimed voting was an action they wanted to perform. Similarly, the person who accepts exercise as the part of their identity doesn't have to convince themselves to train. Doing the right thing is easy. After all, when your behavior and your identity perfectly match, you are no longer pursuing behavior change. You are simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 01. Whales are highly efficient at carbon storage. When they die, each whale sequesters an average of 30 tons of carbon dioxide, taking that carbon out of the atmosphere for centuries. 30. For comparison, the average tree absorbs only 48 pounds of CO2 a year. 48. From a climate perspective, each whale is the marine equivalent of thousands of trees. Whales also help sequester carbon by fertilizing the ocean as they release nutrient-rich waste, in turn increasing phytoplankton populations, which also sequester carbon, leading some scientists to call them the engineers of marine ecosystems. In 2019, economists from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, estimated the value of the ecosystem services provided by each whale at over $2 million USD. 2019, IMF, 200. They called for a new global program of economic incentives to return whale populations to pre-industrial whaling levels as one example of a nature-based solution to climate change. Calls are now being made for a global whale restoration program, to slow down climate change. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 02. Working around the whole painting, rather than concentrating on one area at a time, will mean you can stop at any point and the painting can be considered finished. Artists often find it difficult to know when to stop painting, and it can be tempting to keep on adding more to your work. It is important to take a few steps back from the painting from time to time to assess your progress. Putting too much into a painting can spoil its impact and leave it looking overworked. If you find yourself struggling to decide whether you have finished, take a break and come back to it later with fresh eyes. Then you can decide whether any areas of your painting would benefit from further refinement. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 03. Kids tire of their toys, college students get sick of cafeteria food, and sooner or later most of us lose interest in our favorite TV shows. TV. The bottom line is that we humans are easily bored. But why should this be true? The answer lies buried deep in our nerve cells, which are designed to reduce their initial excited response to stimuli each time they occur. At the same time, these neurons enhance their responses to things that change, especially things that change quickly. We probably evolved this way because our ancestors got more survival value, for example, from attending to what was moving in a tree, such as a puma, than to the tree itself. Boredom in reaction to an unchanging environment turns down the level of neural excitation so that new stimuli, like our ancestors' hypothetical puma threat, stand out more. It's the neural equivalent of turning off a front door light to see the fireflies. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 04. We think we are shaping our buildings. But really, our buildings and development are also shaping us. One of the best examples of this is the oldest known construction, the ornately carved rings of standing stones at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Göbekli Tepe. Before these ancestors got the idea to erect standing stones some 12,000 years ago, they were hunter-gatherers. 12,000. It appears that the erection of the multiple rings of megalithic stones took so long, and so many successive generations, that these innovators were forced to settle down to complete the construction works. In the process, they became the first farming society on Earth. This is an early example of a society constructing something that ends up radically remaking the society itself. Things are not so different in our own time. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 05. Few people will be surprised to hear that poverty tends to create stress. A 2006 study published in the American journal Psychosomatic Medicine, for example, noted that a lower socioeconomic status was associated with higher levels of stress hormones in the body. Psychosomatic Medicine 2006. However, richer economies have their own distinct stresses. The key issue is time pressure. A 1999 study of 31 countries by American psychologist Robert Levine and Canadian psychologist Aaron Orenzayan found that wealthier, more industrialized nations had a faster pace of life, which led to a higher standard of living, but at the same time left the population feeling a constant sense of urgency, as well as being more prone to heart disease. Robert Levine, Aaron Orenzayan 311999. In effect, fast-paced productivity creates wealth, but it also leads people to feel time poor when they lack the time to relax and enjoy themselves. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 06. Success can lead you off your intended path and into a comfortable rut. If you are good at something and are well rewarded for doing it, you may want to keep doing it even if you stop enjoying it. The danger is that one day you look around and realize you are so deep in this comfortable rut that you can no longer see the sun or breathe fresh air. The sides of the rut have become so slippery that it would take a superhuman effort to climb out, and, effectively, you're stuck. And it's a situation that many working people worry they're in now. The poor employment market has left them feeling locked in what may be a secure, or even well-paying but ultimately unsatisfying job. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 07. Have you ever brought up an idea or suggestion to someone and heard them immediately say no, that won't work? You may have thought, he/she didn't even give it a chance. How do they know it won't work? When you are right about something, you close off the possibility of another viewpoint or opportunity. Being right about something means that it is the way it is, period. You may be correct. Your particular way of seeing it may be true with the facts. However, considering the other option or the other person's point of view can be beneficial. If you see their side, you will see something new or, at worst, learn something about how the other person looks at life. Why would you think everyone sees and experiences life the way you do? Besides how boring that would be, it would eliminate all new opportunities, ideas, invention, and creativity. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 08. Many people make a mistake of only operating along the safe zones, and in the process they miss the opportunity to achieve greater things. They do so because of a fear of the unknown and a fear of treading the unknown paths of life. Those that are brave enough to take those roads less traveled are able to get great returns and derive major satisfaction out of their courageous moves. Being overcautious will mean that you will miss attaining the greatest levels of your potential. You must learn to take those chances that many people around you will not take, because your success will flow from those bold decisions that you will take along the way. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 09. Our ability to accurately recognize and label emotions is often referred to as emotional granularity. In the words of Harvard psychologist Susan David, learning to label emotions with a more nuanced vocabulary can be absolutely transformative. Harvard Susan David. David explains that if we don't have a rich emotional vocabulary, it is difficult to communicate our needs and to get the support that we need from others. David. But those who are able to distinguish between a range of various emotions do much better at managing the ups and downs of ordinary existence than those who see everything in black and white. In fact, research shows that the process of labeling emotional experience is related to greater emotion regulation and psychosocial well-being. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 10. In modern times, society became more dynamic. Social mobility increased, and people began to exercise a higher degree of choice regarding, for instance, their profession, their marriage, or their religion. This posed a challenge to traditional roles in society. It was less evident that one needed to commit to the roles one was born into when alternatives could be realized. Increasing control over one's life choices became not only possible but desired. Identity then became a problem. It was no longer almost ready-made at birth but something to be discovered. Traditional role identities prescribed by society began to appear as masks imposed on people whose real self was to be found somewhere underneath. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 11. Diversity, challenge, and conflict help us maintain our imagination. Most people assume that conflict is bad and that being in one's comfort zone is good. That is not exactly true. Of course, we don't want to find ourselves without a job or medical insurance or in a fight with our partner, family, boss, or co-workers. One bad experience can be sufficient to last us a lifetime. But small disagreements with family and friends, trouble with technology or finances, or challenges at work and at home can help us think through our own capabilities. Problems that need solutions force us to use our brains in order to develop creative answers. Navigating landscapes that are varied, that offer trials and occasional conflicts, is more helpful to creativity than hanging out in landscapes that pose no challenge to our senses and our minds. Our 2-million-year history is packed with challenges and conflicts. 2. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 1, 2025, Unit 7 Number 12. When people think about the development of cities, rarely do they consider the critical role of vertical transportation. In fact, each day, more than 7 billion elevator journeys are taken in tall buildings all over the world. 70. Efficient vertical transportation can expand our ability to build taller and taller skyscrapers. Anthony Wood, a professor of architecture at the Illinois Institute of Technology, explains that advances in elevators over the past 20 years are probably the greatest advances we have seen in tall buildings. Illinois Anthony Wood 20. For example, elevators in the Jeddah Tower in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, under construction, will reach a height record of 660 m. Jeddah Tower 660 MTC. Good job.